called Insanity Skies
No,
on
I
your...
intentionally put it insanity, guys.
Are you
Hello,
sure?
everybody. We're back with I guess technically it would be a live video podcast is what it would be called. All right. Well, special guest Tanner. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm glad to be on this podcast. I don't even know what's the name of it, by the way.
Doesn't have a name.
Okay, okay.
It's called the Live Video Podcast.
Yes, the live video
I'm
podcast.
very glad to be on the live video podcast.
Oh man.
So what did Jacob tell you to bring you on this podcast
Well,
tonight, Tanner?
I didn't tell him what, but
I asked Tanner.
I have a plan. No. I didn't tell him
Okay,
anything.
okay.
Right?
Okay.
So Tanner has a pretty it's like if you're comfortable, Tanner has a pretty interesting life story.
Cool.
One of epilepsy and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yes, lots of fun stuff.
Yes.
We all know epilepsy's fun.
Yes. Anyway. So Tanner, if you want to go ahead and get started, and we might ask you questions as you go and stuff, but yeah.
Okay. So you want me to talk about my...
Yeah, talk about just talk about epilepsy, dude. Just talk about your life, dude.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you first off, epilepsy is not as fun as you think.
Really?
Yeah. But it's very good that you can make a I don't know.
Anyway.
Well, my name is Tanner, and I am a male of the age 23. Yeah?
Just keep going.
Okay.
You don't have to give us all those details.
I have blue-green eyes and brownish blonde hair.
Dude.
Okay. Yeah, well, I ended up growing up in Houston, Texas, a little town called Pearland. It's really nice down there. I no longer live there. I live in Oklahoma, and I'm proud to be a Texan, and I still will hold on to that for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can take that away. Texas pride will live beyond your death. And
anyway,
I grew up living in a little town called, it's not so little anymore, called Pearland, and life was pretty good down there as far as I remember. I about the age of 10 ended up started having staring seizures,
which
basically is whenever you stand or in a sitting position and you just look and you can't move your body, you're kind of paralyzed, and you get this funky feeling inside of you. Kind of like your hair stands up on your arms, and you end up kind of spacing out. Every male can understand this, though. Like, that favorite place you have in your mind where you think about nothing, and you love it so much, and you just want to keep thinking nothing, and it's great, and that's exactly where. I mean, that's. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know that place I'm talking about?
Yes.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. That is the best place ever. Well, you kind of go into that mode right there, and you just think about nothing, and you can't get out of it, which is another. It's kind of bad. You can't get out of it, but you don't mind it because you're in a position of power, and in the sense of people are paying attention to you, which is kind of reversed way of looking at it, but
All right, so you were 10 when you started having seizures.
yeah. Yes, and they just progressed into something more. They progressed into grandma seizures, and
You're gonna have to explain that.
well, they aren't grandma at what you would think an actual grandma is. It's like that game that app used to be on the phone where it was an angry grandma and she came around. You could either pick a bat or a golf club and just start hitting little guys as you're walking around. I don't know if people play that anymore. I don't think so. But there's kind of a more, they call them grandma seizures. I don't know why, but it's kind of you just lose control and you end up just shaking and seizing and violently lashing out at everything. And that's what they ended up progressing to until I was about 15 and a half. That's when I couldn't do it anymore. I was on every medication under the moon and a lot of experimental medications, and they all backfired, as well as diets. And one of those diets is the modified Atkins ketogenic diet. It made me fat. I was fat. I was 146 pounds at the age of 12, and I was
Wait,
wearing extra
You were
large
46
pants.
pounds?
146.
140. Yes, I was 46 pounds. It's very heavy for a 10-year-old to be like that.
Anyway,
Next week we're talking
still
about
have those.
Jacob's autism.
Yeah.
thanks, bro. Anyway,
By the way, I actually wore those shorts right there. This
right
last
where?
couple days.
You say right there. What's right where?
I have a pair of shorts that are extra large, and those are the same shorts that I wore whenever I was ill. I came to your house when I came to your house a couple days ago.
Okay.
Those are the same shorts, by the way. Now you know what they look like. You have a visual, though you probably didn't care.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, they kept progressing, and until I had to go to the hospital for the 15th billionth time.
And the doctors weren't actually sure what was causing your epilepsy, correct?
That is correct. They had no idea until like after brain surgery. They were like, "Oh yeah, we know what it is." Because
well,
they
don't
really
skip
did
to
know
don't skip to
epilepsy,
brain
so.
surgery. Don't skip. Keep going.
Well, I went to the hospital and they said you don't have much longer time to live. On the ride up there in the ambulance, what ended up happening is that my grandma's house, our grandma's house, Jacob and I shared the same grandma, obviously.
Nice.
Well, they could.
Anyway, pointless details.
I mean, they're all important.
Yeah, it is important. We had the same grandma, and it's pretty cool. But I ended up fainting and stopped breathing at my grandma's house, which was in Lindsay at the time, and they sent me in the ambulance, and I had 66 seizures. They said I had 66 seizures in 5 minutes, which we all know 6 is a bad number.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
you had 66 in 5 minutes?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was 6. Oh my god.
No.
How do you count that many?
I guess they counted. I don't know how the medical way to do that, but
how long does like a seizure last? Because
It depends.
That
I mean, it
that's an
depends what kind of
insane
seizure.
amount of seizures in 5 minutes. Wait, hold up. We
Yeah.
got to get the math on this.
A lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's one
thought they
about
lasted
every
longer.
6 seconds,
Oh, really? Did you get the
Yeah.
math done?
roughly. Well, 6,
No,
5
don't
minutes
don't worry
is
about it. I'm doing the
360
math. I'm doing the math. Just keep
300
talking,
seconds.
Tanner.
Okay. Well, I mean, they don't all happen in the same time frame. You know, they have short ones sometimes, and then I usually, faint and, you know,
It-
very exhausted, or I have extremely long ones that last like 30 minutes.
Okay, so I just looked it up.
Waste.
That would be one seizure every 4.5 seconds.
Wow, that's insane. Wow.
Anyway,
Uh,
that's a lot of seizures.
that is a lot. Of
And
seizures,
was it
yeah.
just that 5 minutes, or was that like constant?
I have no idea. I don't remember the ride down there. I was out of it.
Right.
That's just what they told me. Yeah. But yeah, I went down there and my neurologist, epileptologist told me I needed to get into surgery now or I was going to be a goner. And so they set me for surgery. I was intended to have my surgeon was not able to work on me, the one that I was going to be under. So another surgeon named Dr. Honeycutt ended up doing it, which he was a better surgeon, brain surgeon, than the last one. So that's a good thing.
How do you qualify better or quantify?
Well, what he had won a lot of awards, and he ended up he wasn't my surgeon but he worked on a lot of pediatric kids with special diseases.
He had more
Okay.
experience, is what you're saying.
Okay.
Exactly.
Not
that is
exactly
one of the
saying that he's
reasons-
better, but just more
He
experience.
had less
Mhm.
confirmed kills.
Yes.
That's
right.
sad.
Obviously, we have a less of a confirmed kill right here.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. I'll tell you, like right now, I ended up going in beforehand. He had a beard on, and then he shaved it off, and I woke up and he didn't have a beard. Like it was one of the first things I said. I was like, "You beard's gone."
so something interesting actually. I know I'm not exactly sure if you remember this, but I know you've been told when you came out of surgery. I actually was there when a little bit after he came out. You couldn't talk, right? You could only
Yes.
like sing, right?
Sing.
You could talk just very, very little.
Yes, I could talk, but very little. At least in my brain, I could talk a little bit.
Right. But you loved singing. Like you sang all the time.
That is right. Your dad, my favorite thing, and it's still one of my favorite things to listen to, has a group. He's in a group called All for Him, and it's gospel music, and it is insane. I loved listening to him, and I still do. He has one of my favorite voices, and I tried to get him to sing at my graduation, but that didn't work out. By the way, that was a side note. But I love his music, and it's like one of the only things I listen to every day, and it was very great. And I did like to sing. I sang a lot. There's some interesting stories of stuff that I did sing while I was high in the hospital that I was told about. And some weird stuff that happened. I had a couple flirtatious moments with the nurses, but
nice.
that's normal, I guess,
Legend.
for a pediatric hospital.
Wait, so how old were you when you went to surgery?
I was 15 and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, which it's normal. I mean, being flirty with a nurse is, I guess, normal for them. So, I had they'd roll me down. My dad would take me for walks in the hospital in a wheelchair, and I'd just be singing Josh Turner's "Your Man" all around everywhere. Just singing, "Baby, lock them doors and turn the lights down low."
All right. And have you been
Yeah.
better ever since? No more seizures?
Yeah. Yes, that is true right there. Yeah.
I thought you have had a few seizures since though.
No. Well, just backing up a little bit, I can tell you the first words that came out of my mouth after surgery. Do you know them already, Jacob?
I think you said it was that you noticed the nurse's beard was gone, or the doctor's beard.
That wasn't the
Sorry,
first
the doctor's
word.
beard. Sorry. Yo, guys can be nurses too. Don't be sexist.
I also noticed the nurse woman's beard was gone as well.
Okay, what were your first words?
The first words that came out of my mouth, and this is no lie, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it was Obama bin Laden. Now, if you look at history, what had happened on January 23rd, 2013, that was about the time that Barack Obama had sent forces over to go and capture and kill Osama bin Laden. And that's what they were talking about in the surgery room, because one of the cool things about surgery is even though you are under
anesthesia,
you can still hear, and sometimes you can still see what's going on, and that's what they were talking about. And me combining those two together has nothing political or anything. That was just the first words that came out. Obama
nice.
bin Laden. Which I couldn't talk very well. I actually had not had a seizure afterwards. Now this ends up going on a different trail afterwards. Is the trail of my recovery. And one of the things that ended up progressing after surgery was the trauma that I ended up going through. It still stayed inside my body because my body had been building up a lot of anxiety and a lot of medication that had been storing up inside of me. Ended up seeing a craniosacral therapist, which ended up moving my bones around in my body, which is really cool.
Whoa.
She ended up moving my jaw an inch and a half forward. Saying that it was putting pressure.
Yeah, you used to have a underbite, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she fixed that.
And your teeth were like the strangest things growing in, dude.
Yeah, well, that was partially due to the medication.
Right. Well. Okay, so for just a little bit, his teeth when they grew in completely sideways and then would straighten out. Wow. Like by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I ended up having to be on a special peppermint tooth oil, basically toothpaste. It was a tooth oil, and that's I ended up using that to help keep the enamel on my teeth and keep them healthy, because a lot of my medications would turn my teeth gray and make them rot, and basically I wouldn't have any more teeth after that.
Mm-hmm. So
and that is why they were funky.
Yeah. How big of a piece of brain did they pull out of you?
They took out 20% of my right frontal lobe, which is about the size of about three or four iPhone 12 Pro Maxes. It's pretty big. His right frontal lobe cortex, and they ended up putting three titanium plates to screw my skull back together.
Yeah, you have a pretty nasty scar. Not like
Yeah,
it's pretty nice, but like it's nasty.
yeah, it's nice, but it's nasty. It's nasty.
Anyway, so you don't really have to talk about your recovery if you don't want to, but I'm sure everyone would
Wait,
like to hear about it.
I have one question first.
Yeah, go
It's
for
like
it.
what were you doing in school before or during all that? Like were you homeschooled or what the heck?
Yeah, and I was flunking homeschool. I
Ah,
they moved me back 2 grades. So I ended up graduating when I was 19, 18 or
dang.
19.
But I mean, a
Just
lot of
because
that
like
was
you're
because of your
not doing
epilepsy,
school?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was not. I was in public school until halfway through 7th grade, and that's when the drugs and hormones starts pumping in a boy's body. And
The
there were
drugs.
some, yes, there were
You were
drugs.
doing drugs?
I was not. Well, yes, I was technically medically doing drugs,
Oh,
but that has nothing to do with the drugs that the other middle schoolers were doing.
okay.
And it got very violent. I ended up going to anybody that had gone to um, Norman Schools, Longfellow Middle School was the worst, and it was pretty bad. I ended up almost getting choked out to death by one of my friends named Ronnie. He was a big 6'4", big red Irish boy.
Middle school.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was huge, but he came up to me. He's like, "I want to give you a hug," and so he comes up and grabs me by the neck and pins me up against the wall. And about that time, I was like, like 4'3", wasn't that tall. I hit my growth spurt after my surgery. I was about 17, and then he is like just held me up there for about 45 seconds, and then put me back down and released my throat, and I'm breathing really hard, and he's like, "That was a good hug, thank you, I love you," and then walks into class, the history class, and I was like, "That guy's a freak. What's going on here?"
I didn't know that
Yeah,
stuff actually happened. You always hear about that and like
Yeah.
anti-bullying stuff.
exactly. Yeah, it's freaky. I mean, that guy. I don't know what he was on. I'm not a specialist in drugs and LSD and what they actually do to you, but I do know there's a lot of drugs out there that make you see things and see
Make you
sounds.
violent.
Yes, and make you violent.
So
And
um back to your story a little bit. Like if like I said, if you're comfortable, like maybe
yeah,
saying some stuff about your recovery and the trauma and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Well, basically, what had happened was all this anxiety had been stored up inside my body. It's 5.5 years worth of trauma had been stored up inside. It gets kind of a little, um, it gets a little like voodoo-ish. It's not voodoo, but basically my chi was extremely high, meaning that like my aura and all the bad energy inside of me had been building up inside my body. And it's kind of like we did a lot of medical stuff. We also did a lot of natural stuff. And if you think about it, they're all kind of connected. What basically has happened is people have separated natural medicine from actual chemical medicine, and that is what's happened. But they basically everything all goes in together. So we did everything, and that's what my craniosacral therapist told me is that one day this anxiety is going to have to be released out of you, and it's going to try to get out. And when it does, it's going to reenact everything that you ended up living through when you were ill. And that's exactly what happened. It was about 2 years afterwards. I was at my first job, um, basically just gardening and doing my piano teacher's garden, taking care of it and everything. And it was about a week after we with
Hello?
Brandon and you. I think
Hey,
all of it.
back
Can you
up
hear
like
me?
5 seconds. You cut out.
Oh, okay.
You're in the
When I
garden with your your
Yeah,
piano teacher.
piano
Sorry.
teacher, garden,
tiptoe
first job.
through the garden. About that's my first job when it happened. That's where it happened. It's about a week after we ended up going to Disney World. I believe you were there, Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Brandon. We all went to Disney World. It was about a week after that. I had gone back and started gardening, and it just happened right then and there. And I stopped and I called Grandpa, and I said, I need to go to the hospital now. And I feel like I'm having, a seizure, which anxiety takes the form of what you feel the most. And since it was epilepsy, the thing is, after brain surgery, I didn't remember they cut out right from front of cortex, which was the highway to your memory. Now you have 7 different areas inside your brain that hold memory, but they cut out the main area that stores your memory. So I don't remember anything before 15 really at all. I don't remember any of
Whoa.
those memories. They're gone. I mean, I even had to funny, I guess not really funny, but I mean, funny thing to me is that the only person that I knew was my mom. I didn't even know I had a dad. I didn't even know what a dad was, or my brother,
Wow.
or my sister. I just knew there was a man that walked around and tried to get me to laugh sometimes. He'd do some kind of Hawaiian dance or something, and that's my brother. He did some weird stuff. It was weird. Everybody's family's weird, but that it happened about that time, and that's what they told me. They said it was just an anxiety attack, and I was like, that's weird. This is not normal. I don't have anxiety. I don't fear anything. I mean, I had gone through, the fire of, having all these terrible things happen to me. I wasn't afraid of anything, and to this day, I'm not afraid of anything. There's not really. You learn a lot when you go through an illness. A lot of stuff you see differently in a different light because you've experienced it, and you're no longer in the position to make that mistake that other kids end up making, because everybody matures at a different rate, and you going through that gives you a different light on what this world is like and how to deal with certain situations, because in reality life is kind of hard. You gotta put the boot into every day and try to live the best you can. That's how you roll.
So what happened when you got to the hospital?
I was the first time I ended up having to sign papers. That was me having to sign. I was like, dude, it's literally
So
having
what was your
seizure.
age?
I can't sign that.
What was your age?
I was 19.
Okay, so several years have passed.
I was 18 or 19, I believe. I believe it was around that area. Yeah, I think it was 19.
Okay, so 4 years have
and
passed.
yeah, and before that, I had to relearn how to eat, had to relearn how to walk, had to relearn how to think. But by that time, I had pretty much done all that, and I was about to go to college for a music degree, full ride. But that's what happened, and I kind of ended up taking a step back. And what had happened was, when I was ill, there was my anxiety had created somebody called the Dark. I called him the Dark One, and he's basically this little boy that I had made up in my mind, and he kind of never really talked much, but he would make me do things, and that I didn't want to do. He'd make me, try to attempt to kill my brother, or he'd, have a seizure in front of everybody because he thought it was funny. and I guess
Wait,
it was
okay,
funny, but
question. So,
I'm sorry for laughing.
no, it is funny.
wait, no. Okay, so I have a question. You say that the dark one would make you do things. So you did not have control over your body?
No, not when I was on medication. Those 5 years, I really didn't have much control of anything. More basically me, and then it was this dark guy that walked around with me. He was not. He's called the Dark One. He wasn't like a racially dark guy. You know. I
Yeah,
didn't know what.
go ahead. I
have
understand.
I'm not.
I understand.
Like that.
That's just funny.
No offense to everyone. That was that. But,
Oh wait, 1 second. There's a question from the chat. Did
Mhm.
you have to relearn English?
yes,
Wow,
I had to
that's
relearn
great.
how to speak. I basically went back to my, my roots of being 10 months old. I had to relearn everything. It was kind of weird because I was like, as I progressed along, I'd be like, ooh, mommy, Pokemon, Pokemon. And I watched that when I was like 6 and 7. Being in like a 16-year-old age body, it's kind of weird sitting there clapping your hands like a kid watching Pokemon. And then because what happened was I'd like snap in and out of being a different age. And so I'd be like normal, and all of a sudden like snap, like, "Ooh, I want some milk."
That's pretty crazy.
So,
Yeah,
anyway, go into more detail about the dark one.
yeah.
If
Well,
you
this
if you
dark-
want to.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like everything's good now,
Yeah. Go
but
for it.
This dark one was like really evil, I even thought he was demonic, but it was just built up from anxiety. He'd always be sitting beside me or walking around with me, and
So
he'd
you
even
could
be in,
see him.
I could see him, no one else could. Yeah, but he'd just sit there, and I'd be sitting there, and he'd
I'd be
sitting beside
worried
me
if
and say,
others saw him too.
yeah, I would too. Yeah, but he'd be like, "Hey, what's going on today?" I'd be like, "Don't do that with me. I know what you're doing." It's like, I'm a nice guy. I'm good. It's like, "No, you're not. I know exactly what you're doing." He said, "Oh, yeah, you're right. How about you go in the middle of the room and tell everybody that you love them, and then have a seizure?" And I'm like, "I'm not doing that." And he'd be like, "Yes, you are. Yeah, it's gonna happen one way or another. No way I'm fighting against it." And so eventually, he'd get his way, and I just do things. And
Wait, so
things.
just because I'm curious, you weren't actually having a seizure, you were just pretending?
No, this is when I was actually sick. I had about 5.5 years between 10 and 15 that I really.
Oh, I thought this was your recovery.
No. That's it's later on.
Okay.
This is while on
This
medication.
is what happened. Yeah, while on medication, I tried to kill everybody. So yeah, that's not. That's not.
And you're being like 100% serious when you say that.
Yes, I'm being 100% serious. I tried 3 times to kill Isaac.
Which is his brother.
Yes, my brother. And when you're afterwards, when you get out of and you pop back into reality, you're like, I can't believe I did that. That'd be terrible. I would not want to do that.
Mhm.
No one would want to do that. And I tried doing that to my sister as well a couple times. I'd creep her out just to creep her out. And I mean, I know that there might be some guys out there just like creeping their sisters out anyway, but but this is like level 10 creepy, like I watch you in your sleep, I'm going to kill you someday. But even now I try to I don't do it as much because we're older and everything, but I still have probably it's a side effect. I have a sense of liking, I kind of like being a little creepy, a little bit. Not
Yeah, you find humor in some pretty interesting situations.
Tanner's
you
a
would
funny
know.
guy. You can't blame him.
Yeah.
He's a what?
He's a funny guy.
He is. Tanner's a very funny guy.
All right, there's another question. Somebody asks, do you still see the Dark One, or how did you overcome him?
Yeah. Well, later in life and everything, right before he was walking in the surgical room with me, right beside my surgical bed, and he looked at me. He said, "I'll see you afterwards." And I looked at him, and I said, "No, you're not. This is the time where we part ways, and I'm never seeing you again. And I've won, and you've lost this battle."
Damn.
And I was like, "You might have won a lot of battles, but I won this war." And he was like, "I'll see you afterwards." And afterwards, he was gone, completely gone. And then when my anxiety came back, like the first words that I heard were, "I'm back." And dude, that was the scariest moment of my life, because what had just happened was this guy that had made me do all these terrible things was back, and it was the same voice, it was the same creepy voice, and he like came back, and I didn't know what to do. And that's whenever I started having that anxiety attack or whatever in the garden. And so then things got kind of really weird. It was a little bit different because he was there, and I'd see him sometimes, but then I got like a multiple personality disorder. Every single personality inside my body kind of split into their own little bubble, and they were all fighting with each other, and they all wanted to be me, just one personality. Kind of like if you've seen Split, kind of like that,
I've seen
except
the
not to
trailer.
that level. Have you seen Split?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just imagine that guy, and except it wasn't like I kidnapped two girls or whatever.
Anyway,
But it was kind of like I just had all these different personalities in their own little bubble, and the dark one was kind of the leader, and he was, absolved of being in argument with any of them, and then I was just me. And my parents told me that they did want to take me to a therapist because they didn't want me to go on medication. And so what I had to do was I had to figure this thing out on my own.
Oh
And I
my
couldn't talk to my
goodness.
parents about it because they'd always freak out. And, moms are moms. And
Yeah.
everyone that has a mom like that knows what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Have you eaten honey? Let me fill you up with 14 different omega-6 oils. And good kale green and barley for the road.
I think that'll be me as a parent, TBH.
Yeah, but that's basically how it was. And I was like, I got to figure this thing out. So what I ended up doing was I always had a sense for music, and I always loved music. And what I started doing was I started writing songs and writing poetry. And I'm still writing poetry. And it's a very good way for anybody that actually does have anxiety. It's a very, very good way to get rid of it by writing it out, just writing whatever, just slapping it on paper. I didn't know what to say. I was like, I don't know what to do. So, but you just start writing, and when you start writing it just flows right out. And poetry, or just even writing it, is a very good way of dealing with that. Also, listening to music. I listen to one of my favorite guys. It's NF. If you listen to him, he is a little bit kind of dark and everything, but he deals with the same kind of situations. And he is a rapper, but those words ended up helping me get to the place where I am today. As well as other songs. I listen to, Jason Mraz, or, John Mayer, or whatever, and I take the songs that, are encouraging. My favorite kind of song is encouraging songs to live another day, or some kind of good thing. Another one I like is One Republic. They had an album that came out called Waking Up, and it's a very good album. And there's a song called Good Life, and it's very good. It's very encouraging. I encourage everybody to listen to it. It's a very good song. It just makes you feel great. And
Good song.
it's yeah. And I just listened that on repeat. And one way to train your brain to do anything, doesn't matter what it is, to create a habit, is to use repetition, and over and over and over. And was my goal, is to use repetition to take out all that anxiety and put it to use. No matter what it is, you can make something good out of anything bad.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what it is, even, I guess, anxiety to this level. And I put that down on paper, and it's extremely helped me get to where I am today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Something I kind of want to ask about, for everybody to hear. Can you talk a little bit about like bullying and stuff like that? Because I know, like, as a result of your brain surgery, like sometimes you are a little bit slower to understand things, or sometimes you even just like have to take time to think about what you're doing, and people are like, yo, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. That's another thing, for anybody that has been through a difficult time. Bullying is something that is going to happen. And, it happened to me. It happened to me in church groups. It happened to me everywhere. Because people see the world through a different light. They see it through the way that they want it to see. And, there's nobody's going to do anything about it. And it happened a lot. I mean, it still happens to me today. And I really just gotten to the point where I just don't care what other people think. It's kind of been built into my personality. I kind of just walk around, and if you say something I don't really care about, I really do not care about it, and I'm not going to do anything about it. Not to the point, I'm disrespectful or anything, but it doesn't bother me what you think about me. That's something that's really difficult growing up that a lot of people deal with, is what other people think of them. Well, reality check, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, because they want to be like you, or they're jealous of you, or they just have an issue.
Yeah,
Going through something.
I remember you telling me an instance about your professor.
Yeah.
You want to say a little something about that?
Yeah, I had about 3 professors that were pretty bad. But the worst
There
one
was
was my
one in particular that really
Comp 2 teacher that I was given permission by the college, there's a section for disability, where the only way I could actually process information was through the computer. And what I'd do is I would take whatever was said, what the professor said, write it and type it, hear it through my ear, and type it down on the computer. And that was the best way for me to process the information. I found a way to actually process it as my brain started, recovering everything around 19 or 20. And there were several instances where he called me out and, tell me that I was stupid and that I needed to put my computer away because he's the man or whatever. He was 87 years old. There's no way he was the man or whatever he called himself.
Anyway,
he needed to retire. That's what he needed to do.
Yeah. But I mean, if I recall, there was
yeah.
one specific instance that really.
Yeah, I mean, there was. He ended up getting up in class, and he said that he studied the brain, and he's done a lot of reading about it, and that he can tell when someone actually has issues or not, and that it's like, oh, you talk about yourself, aren't you? You did that for yourself. Oh yeah, okay. You have
Anyway.
issues? Not my problem. And he's like, there's a kid here that has brain surgery, and he doesn't have a problem at all. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just, lazy, and he needs to turn his computer off. And I kind of looked at him, and I didn't know what to say. I was very timid and shy back then. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think,
Right,
I don't
but
care what you say.
But the point was, like, he kind of just stood up in front of the whole class and said that you were faking your
my anxiety.
No, well, just your I don't want to call it a disability, but just your
Yeah,
your disadvantage.
yeah. My way of processing information was different.
But no,
Okay.
not even that. Just that the fact that he called you out and said, like you're no different than anyone else. You're just
Yeah.
kind of faking this.
Yeah, which there are a lot of jerk teachers in college. Everybody should know that. That's true, and everybody does know that. But he was that one of those guys like that. He didn't like
Mhm.
anybody.
Vaughn, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, did you have any friends, like while everything was happening, and then any after the surgery? Anybody stick by you, or
Well,
how did that happen?
not really. That's one of the things I put on myself because I had tried to do that, and they didn't understand. They did not understand my position on things, and they just freak out because that's not something. Hey, guy, I want to be your friend. I actually tried to kill my brother when I was ill. How are you doing? Yeah, that's not the normal conversation.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I basically took it upon myself to take this down. I was going to take this demon down and fix it because I was not going to be able to have a normal life until I ended up fixing whatever was in front of me, and that was anxiety. And even thinking about anxiety has the ability to pull you away from other people and let fear in of actually talking to people. Now I had that fear part inside of me. That was basically taken down after my surgery. I was done with that. I did fear the dark one, but I also knew that I was the only one that was going to be able to take him down. And I mean, this all is due to me also with a lot of prayer and reading the scriptures and everything. That is truly the one. Jesus is the one that took him down. But I had taken upon myself to take it down without anybody else's help because every chance that I turned, nobody was there. And that kind of gives me a reality is that the only person that actually can help you is is Jesus. And basically, if you want something, you got to do it yourself. And so I ended up facing this alone. I ended up like what I tried to do was I tried to be someone who I wasn't. And that's something that everybody ends up going through anyway, because I didn't want people to know the person that is sick. I wanted them to know someone that was more than that. And so those didn't really work out very well. I went to a lot of different church camps to try to, uh, get my socialized ability back. It never really worked. I tried hanging out with the older kids, and they were kind of weird.
Older kids being like the people
Like,
your age.
my age and older, which is like in between 1 to 4 years older than me. That age right there, and I did not fit in with them like at all. And so, I hung out with my brother a lot. So he's about 5.5 years younger, and I guess I took I lost about 5 years of maturing anyway. So I guess expressing wise. So I hung out with kids that were younger than me, and I felt more at ease with them and being able to talk with them, and not that I had any power over them or anything, because I wasn't going to talk to anybody about anything because I already tried several times.
Mm-hmm.
But
You just didn't want to
I've
be known as, oh, he's the kid who had brain surgery.
exactly.
You wanted to be known
and
as Tanner.
That's right. And I still kind of don't have very many friends. I have some close friends like Jacob. He's a good guy, and we've kind
Thanks,
of
bro.
Let's go, Jacob.
gotten
Yes, sir.
closer. But that's something that I actually still deal with. It's a little more difficult for me to be able to jump that boundary from the friend zone to a little bit more, because not very many people have a story that like this, be in a difficult position.
Mm-hmm.
That you can't really talk to people about, can't really bond with a lot of people like this because you're at such a young age, and a lot of people don't really go through stuff like this, you know.
Yeah.
So you just become uniquely yourself, a different person, and um, you know, but I just been kind of dealing with that, and trying to continue to better myself, and know that someday, I'll have more friends, or you might not. You don't really need very many friends anyway.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a lot
Um,
of friends.
well, yeah. Because the only thing is that you don't want to be alone. Nobody wants to be alone,
Yeah.
and that doesn't take many people to hang out with to get rid of that aloneness. But
Hmm.
I've got one question. You talked earlier about how like you did a bunch of natural remedies and the anxiety built up physically inside your body. Like I'm actually really interested in that stuff. Like I've heard
yeah,
about that.
yeah.
So what kind of natural things did you do, and like how did you overcome anxiety that way?
Well, I ended up taking the homeopathic medicine. I don't know what it's called. Um, it's not like an actual medicine. It was, and what I ended up doing is I take it.
Sorry.
Did you just boo me?
No, I just sneezed, my guy.
Oh,
My bad.
it's called boo choo.
Anyway.
I took this homeopathic medicine, and I'd sit down and I'd think as hard as I could. And that was what I was supposed to do, think really hard, and it would really wear me out. I mean, it made me tired where I'd have to take like a 2-hour nap at least.
Dang.
There's another thing that I ended up doing, which was a stress. I had to do several stress thermometer exercises. I went to see a, oh goodness, biofeedback doctor. And he ended up instructing me on ways to prevent anxiety attacks from happening. He taught me the way snipers breathe, which to keep them whenever they're in stressful situations, they're walking around and they're breathing a certain way, which keeps their heartbeat lower, keeps their blood pressure lower, and it keeps them focused and active. And he taught me how to do that. He also taught me how to um, basically get rid of anxiety completely, which there's a special way you put a stress thermometer on your finger, and you focus on anything in the room, and then you focus inside of that dot, and you focus inside of that dot right there for about 20 minutes every day. And what happens is that the stress thermometer reads your temperature in your body, and what you're wanting to do is raise it like 10 degrees or something, and it actually works.
10 degrees?
Yeah.
No way. Dude, that would...
Yeah,
no,
way.
no, there's no way it was 10 degrees. That would kill you.
Okay, fine. Don't believe me.
Well, dang, bro, chill. It's just like, that would give you a fever of like, what, 108?
Dude, I was sweating. I was sweating like I was in a 115-degree room. No kidding. And that's basically, from a medical point of view, it ended up sweating out that anxiety. Sitting there focusing, and it sweated it out. But at the same time, it gave me more control over the situation. There's another thing I ended up doing, which was called is basically creeping and crawling. Every single child, whenever they're young, they end up crawling around, and it's necessary for the development of the brain for a kid to actually crawl around for a certain amount. And it basically depends on that. Actually determines what kind of IQ you're going to have when you're older. How much you crawl and how much you creep around on the ground. And my craniosacral therapist had me do that, which is a big process of crawling around the floor for like 1,500 yards. That's what they ended up getting into. You kind of practice. And eventually you get up to creeping around and crawling around about 1,500 yards every day. And what it does, it resets your brain to when you were younger and wiping away everything else that was there. And since I had a lot of bad stuff going on, there was something to reset, reboot. And
Yeah.
that's what ended up happening. And, I don't have any anxiety anymore. And I also got rid of the dark one by, I had one last anxiety attack, and I was at Grammy's house. I was in the back room in the apartment, and I was sitting there with my mom and dad, and I was just shaking, and my vision was blurring, and I was just continuously seizing up, and that's another reason why I'm kind of uh, built a little bit, because I had so much that seizing ended up kind of made me a little bit stronger, because I couldn't do anything else but
Long
seize
story
up.
short, you're muscular.
Yeah, but don't get the idea I got any abs, because I don't.
Rip.
I got plumber abs. That's what I'm a plumber. So they're fat abs. No, that would be a terrible image. Get that image out of your mind. I am not fat.
Anyway.
Anyway, I was on the bed, and he was there. He was watching me, sitting in the corner, and he's like, you're gonna lose. You can't put up a fight anymore. Just give in. This thing's gonna happen. I've won before. I've come back, and I'm gonna win again. And I kept I was repeating the scripture, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I was praying with my parents, and all of a sudden I ended up having this like adrenaline rush or something. And I told him, I said, Dark One, in the name of Jesus Christ, I shoot to hell. And he was gone. But obviously, I know that it's not, we can't do that. That's
Right.
not something that's
I understand.
obvious. But basically, that was me saying, I'm done with you. I'm done with anxiety, and you're not going to have any more control over me. And he was gone, and I haven't seen him since. Yeah, it's done. Anxiety is gone. He's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I have nothing to worry about anymore.
Nice.
There's nothing, everything I have fought through, everything's gone. And now I'm, all better, pretty much. Besides, they told me my brain was going to grow. Most men's brains ends up stop growing around 25. Well, I lost about 5 years, so they said my brain's going to stop growing when I'm 30.
Nice.
And so, right now I'm like 7, I guess, if you think
mentally.
about it. In a adult body. That's weird.
Anyway.
Well, you laugh at all my jokes like a 7-year-old.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
But I mean, yeah.
Tanner.
Wait, one more question.
Yeah, go for it.
That was a great place to end. But what ended up being wrong, or what did the doctor say, like after surgery when they pulled whatever out?
They took my brain out, and they didn't let me see it. They told
Rude.
me it was rude. I actually asked them, "Can I see my brain?" And they said yes. And they didn't show it. They sent it straight to the lab. They said it needed immediate testing.
What if they didn't take out your brain?
They didn't, then I guess it was all psychological. And I really am a messed up kid.
Okay, so what was wrong though, medically? Allegedly.
What they said was that it was a birth defect in the womb, and there was something wrong that didn't actually go, that wasn't formed right in the womb. I would disagree, because first off, I don't have any genetic history of anybody that actually ever had seizures or brain defects or anything like that. Secondly,
but genetic problems can be caused by a lot of things.
That's exactly right. And it doesn't have to be a genetic thing. It also could just be something that abnormally happened, which is also possible. But I also, right after I was born, they took me and they gave me several vaccines immediately after I was born.
Like everyone else.
And if you look at the year 97, there's a lot of babies that died in the year 97 from vaccines. That's a bad year. And of course, they're not going to admit to that. But that could I think it's has to do with some kind of vaccine that they
I
gave me as
love
a
you,
kid
Tanner.
Well,
against,
at least
I
I'm not
love
dead.
you.
or I'm just messed up. You could say that as well.
I'm glad vaccines did not kill me.
Yeah,
But look at you now.
Bro, I have
That's
had
right.
every single vaccine. That's not a joke. When I
That's
went to
crazy. Did you
Africa,
have the COVID one?
when I went to Africa a year ago, or a year and a few months ago, there was a ton of vaccines I had to get,
I
and
bet.
I had to get. I'm pretty sure it was every single vaccine that I hadn't gotten,
Mhm.
but because if I didn't get it, they wouldn't let me in the country. So
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of funny though. I ended up becoming a plumber, which basically exposed me to every single disease known to man, especially COVID. COVID lives, on feces, which I don't have COVID, and I
Allegedly.
never actually had it. I actually was tested, and I'm negative. So, but I'm been exposed to everything under the moon after I ended up getting out. Didn't want to be
so
part of that. So,
okay. So before we end,
yeah.
me and Tanner have a little bit of a story uh, about what happened at our grandparents' Airbnb this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is okay. So this is wait, Tanner, is this okay to say on podcast?
Yeah.
Okay,
I believe so. I've got
okay.
a little bit more after you're done. I'm gonna let you speak because I've been speaking nonstop, and my voice box is ready for you to take.
It's good.
Read.
Okay. So my grandparents have a house that they put on Airbnb, just cause. And well, about 2.5 years ago, they had me come and install cameras and a security system in their house. And ever since then, every once in a while, they ask me to, check up on a few things, monitor some things, make sure they're not throwing a party, etc. And and well, this weekend actually. So Tanner was at my house this weekend. He stayed with me.
Yeah.
And it was Saturday night. I fell asleep on the couch while he was playing video games, and then he went to bed and just left me on the couch.
Which.
But it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Anyway, and at like 2 o'clock in the morning, Tanner's mother is actually the property manager for the Airbnb. About 2 in the morning, my aunt calls me, Tanner's mom, and she says, "Hey, I have an officer here that needs to speak with you." I was like, okay. And okay, honestly, it was 2 in the morning. I might be getting some of these details wrong, but long story short, I ended up speaking to a police officer, and the police officer was like, hello, we need information about the security system. Just passwords, usernames, and because they need to get some footage or look for some footage off. And I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. What's going on? And come to find out, there was apparently a giant party that had been thrown. It's like 55, 75 people or something like that.
Yeah.
And I believe it was 3 people actually ended up getting shot, and 2 of them were suspected to die.
Yeah.
So basically, it was a murder scene.
But your grandparents?
Yes, my grandparents' Airbnb. And
Holy crap.
yeah. And so I was talking to the officer and I was like, is there anything else you need from me? He's like, well, I'll be in touch. There's a possibility we might ask you to come down here to
Are you
help
sure
us.
you're allowed to say this on the podcast?
No clue, but too late now.
Oh my
We're just gonna kind of blur this
Too
thing out.
too late
god.
now.
We're gonna be
This
back.
may have happened. We don't
Yes,
know where.
this is all happened in Mexico.
Alleged.
This is in Mexico.
His dream.
That's right.
It's in his dream.
Conspiracy.
Yeah, this is all my dream. Anyway.
Buenos dias, amigo.
Vaccines are bad, so this might get taken down.
Anyway. So I was like, okay. They were like, yeah. So just be where I can get in contact with you. It's like 2 a.m. It's like, be like where I can get in contact with you. We might ask you to come down here if we need your help recovering any footage or anything. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I go to, so when I had to go to bed, Tanner was already asleep, and so I woke Tanner up, and I was like, yo,
Yeah.
2 people were just like murdered in Grandpa's Airbnb, and
Allegedly.
suspected to die, and he like woke up. He was so confused. He was so out of it.
It's disturbing.
It's something weird to wake up to.
This is real.
Anyway, so yeah, and then I was like, well, okay, I need to go tell my parents, in case I actually end up having to leave in the middle of the night. So I went and I woke up my parents, and I was like, yo, this is what's going on. They were so confused as well. But then Sunday morning rolls around, I'm at church, and I get a text from an officer that says, hey, this is Officer so-and-so with whatever police department. I'd like to speak to you, please, if you could give me a call. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go to Oklahoma, aren't I? Because, this is in Oklahoma, by the way. I did not want to have to drive all the way out there.
Allegedly in Oklahoma.
But it's not.
Yes,
in
it's
Oklahoma,
allegedly in
it's
Oklahoma.
Mexico.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, this is all in Mexico. Anyway, so
And he didn't want to drive to Mexico.
I did not want to drive to Oklahoma City in Mexico. Anyway, and so I called the officer after church, and I was like, yo, what's up? What do you need? He was like, basically, he just
You did
asked.
not say, "Yo, what's up" to an officer.
It's like,
No.
"Oh,
Okay,
man,
I did not. I was very polite. I was very
I
respectful.
can get you a taser.
What? Anyway, he basically was just pretty much asking for my permission to take the whole security system with him to be forensically analyzed for and get the footage like safely removed or something like that. I don't even know. And so yeah. And last I heard, I actually got in contact with Tanner's brother Isaac today. And last I heard, it was supposedly a gang-related incident.
Yeah, man. I saw Snapchats that were recorded and sent to my mom of like gang people
at the Airbnb.
At this live on live Snapchat right now, the world Snapchat.
Oh yeah, the area Snapchat.
Yeah, and it's like you could see the B&B, and there's like a bunch of gang. I'm gonna call them gang people because I don't want to be racist at all. Because there were there were people there, white and black.
Anyway,
gang-like.
But there was direct reference to the Bloods and the Crips. Yes.
Yes.
That is. So yeah. This this dream I had.
Ever had.
Yeah, this is one of the most interesting dreams I've ever had in my life.
Oh, streams.
Yeah, man. And I just got like there's like bullet holes in like the house and like the barn and the neighbor's barn and the fence. Thin black like quarter half inch poles. There's bullet holes through that. They ended up taking a car, and they were so drunk but they backed up through
Through
the
the electric
which
gate.
wasn't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, it was an
broken.
electric gate that opened one direction and they ran through it the opposite direction.
Does homeowners insurance cover all that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's blood stains in the carpet and on the
Wait, in the
sidewalk, in the
carpet?
drive. Yeah,
I
dude.
thought, but the shooting
could,
happened
like,
outside.
Well, they probably
My
went
mom has
inside.
pictures. She
Well,
went
yeah,
inside,
yeah.
there's
But the
blood on
officer told me the
carpet,
shooting happened outside. So did they go inside?
There's
obviously.
blood. I don't know. They might.
Huh.
There's something that happened on there. There's blood in the carpet stained. There's blood on the front porch. There's blood in the
Yeah.
garage.
Okay.
There's
Okay.
blood a
Wait,
lot
in
of
the
places.
garage? How'd they get in there?
I don't know.
That place is locked. Anyway, but
I
wow.
ended up going to neighbors, the neighbors, them and like disturbing them, like freaking them out. It was bad.
So last I heard, Grammy and Grandpa are gonna get out of the Airbnb
Yeah.
business. Yes.
That's right. That is correct. And they're planning on moving back into that house. and
Excellent.
putting the Heidi
Now when
Ray
I get to
house
go
up
visit them, I
for
get to
rent.
stay in a murder scene. I mean,
That's right.
in my dream.
It's
In my
gonna be
dream.
cool. We're
That's what I
gonna be
meant.
two murder buddies in dreams,
Yeah,
in
just
Mexico,
just in our dreams in Mexico.
singing "I Like Pina Coladas."
Sure. So yeah. What do you think of that, Vaughn?
That was amazing. Thank you, Tanner,
Yeah.
for
Hey,
sharing.
I've actually run into Bloods and Mexicans in the same
Wait,
area as
what?
well.
What?
And there was I was working it was on 10th Street, MacArthur, in the MacArthur Boulevard apartments, and it was new construction. There's plumbing there.
In your
And
dream,
first
right?
off, what happened? Yes, in a dream. I don't think yeah, I guess it's in a dream. And a Mexican comes out with a machete and starts
Ooh.
chopping up another guy.
No,
And no,
bro,
this is
you're
literally
lying.
what
You
happened.
you're wait,
not-
what? You like
Alleged.
witnessed in your
Witness-
dream a
Yes.
murder?
Yeah,
Oh, in his dream.
Why have I never heard about this?
because it really happened.
What? That makes no sense. No, you witnessed a murder.
Yeah.
He also doesn't remember anything from 0 to 15, so.
Remember, I have a difficult memory issue. It comes in and out, and sometimes I just don't think that I remember things that happen.
Anyway,
Communicate it. Well, I witnessed a guy getting chopped up, and he was a Crip, and he chopped him up, and then the helicopters came in, locked down the building. We couldn't get out of there for like 3 hours, and he went on the run for 2 weeks. Came back, started working again, and it was really funny because he wouldn't do much work. They were living in the apartments, and they were legal, and he come in with a Corona, like an actual beer, Corona, because that's exactly what they had. And he'd take like
were you stalking this guy?
No, I was working inside the buildings, and he'd come in and just start putting concrete down. He was a concrete worker, or whatever they wanted him to be.
Why is he not arrested?
Because he got away.
But why did he come back to work?
Because he's stupid. I don't know. Ask
Did he
him.
get caught there?
He doesn't have any other place to go. That's my guess. So he came back 2 weeks later, and he's like picked up like 6 bags of 80-pound concrete, slapped it down in front of me, chugged a Corona, looked at me and said, "I think I'm done for the day. I think
6
I'm
at a
gonna go
time?
to sleep." And it was like
Those are heavy.
1 a.m. So he didn't. It was weird. And then a month later, I was working there, and all of a sudden, the Crips and the Bloods have a shootout, like literal shootout.
While you're there.
Mm-hmm. And
There's no way you're being
Kind of-
serious right now.
why would I be saying this on the podcast if I'm not serious, man?
Well, I mean, I know it's in a dream, but like,
This is not a dream. This is real life, realistic stuff.
Dream.
no, Tanner,
Mexico
Tanner. This
thing
needs
was
to
a
be a
dream.
dream. This is a dream.
Oh, it does need to be a dream. Am I hallucinating right now?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And that's where we'll end it.
Yeah.
That's right. Do not make bad decisions, kids. Because punishment and will always follow. And certain situations as well.
Because Tanner will be complicit and know who did it
That's
and not
right.
tell anyone.
And then I'll forget
Yeah.
that you did it, and then I'll remember later, 5 years later, actually not remember and not make a difference.
So
It is true.
did it not just freak you out that this dude that you witnessed murder somebody just come back to work
In his dream.
in your dream?
Working as a plumber in the trades, you see a lot of stuff that you don't really talk about much. So,
But you
No,
called
I
the
didn't.
cops when you witness a guy murder
He's
someone.
in the toilet.
I didn't call the cops. The cops came. I got down.
Oh my word. That is
Like,
the most
had- this
absurd
is my-
dream
this
I have
also-
ever heard in my whole life.
this is also my 4th company I'm working for, so you can imagine all the terrible things that have happened at these different companies.
Oh my
Like-
gosh.
Gang shoots and stuff like that.
Dude, you're gonna
And-
die.
Yeah, I am going to die someday.
Boom.
Wow. Okay, well, I think that just about wraps it up.
Dude, you're going to die.
Thank
Okay,
you,
we're gonna do
thank you everybody who tuned into the podcast. This is Jacob and Vaughn's
The live
podcast.
Video podcast.
Yes, Jacob and
show.
Vaughn's live video podcast, the #1 podcast in the world.
The
and-
#1 conservative podcast.
The #1 podcast in the world, where you get all the fresh information
truth.
here, and you
First.
yeah, we would love to interview some of you people. Honestly, we just find people and talk to them. I think this has been one of our best, honestly.
Alright. For sure.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you to everybody who watched. Yeah. Next Monday, 8:30 Central, tune into the podcast, and peace out.
See